Welcome. We're doing Pashas Pinchas. We're learning the Sicha 1991. We started yesterday, so today we're going into the inner dimension of what we discussed yesterday. So, paragraph 5. The Rebbe is explaining according to the inner dimension of Pnimius Hayanim. Kibush, when it says we're conquering the land of Israel, what is the conquering and what is the Chalukah, the division of the land, and the Yeshuva, and settling the land? What are they alluding to on an inner dimension? In our service of Hashem, the Jewish people, why are we commanded spiritually also to conquer the land of Canaan, which is the land of the 7 nations, Shiva Goyim. To make them into the land of Israel, Eretz HaKodesh, a holy land. Meaning there's something spiritual that we have to do over here. It's not just a physical settlement of a territory. Eretz Yehudit, we have to make it into a Jewish land, Yehudit, Kedusha, holy land. Eretz Shabanika Begalusha Chutala, a land where, what does it mean, make it a Jewish land and holy land? That it's revealed, it's apparent, it's seen, and noticeable in a revealed way, that it's connected to Yiddishkeit. It's very interesting because when the Rebbe Maharash, when he was, the Bilu movements and the Zionist movement started when he was the Rebbe in Russia, and there were a lot of people trying to go to the land of Israel and settle it. This is in like 150 years ago. This is a long time ago. And they were doing it. And the Rebbe Maharash said he could have gone with 100,000 Hasidim if their motto would have been Bais Yaakov lechuvanelcha be'or Hashem, in the light of Hashem. Their motto was just Bais Yaakov, let's go. They were taking out Hashem out of the picture. So the problem was, that they were going as Jews at that time because they were being persecuted, but they were leaving Yiddishkeit behind, and they were just going there in a survival mode. And wherever, the Maharash said, if they would just put in the Or Hashem, in the light of Hashem, in the way of Hashem, you could have gotten 100,000 Chassidim to follow. In any event, also when the first few decades of the state of Israel, many people didn't want to put in it that it's a Jewish state. They just wanted to be Israel and the state of Israel. No mention of Jewish state. Yehudi. And the Rebbe encouraged politicians and government officials and leaders to say and to state the case for the state that it's a Jewish state. And he said the only reason and the only real hold that we have on the land of Israel is that it belongs to the Jewish people. Okay. Otherwise, if we're just like any other nation, we're just a state, another state. They could be debated whether this state or that state, gets it. But if it's a Jewish state, then we have more of a hold. So this is what the goal of the land of Israel is, to make it a Jewish state, a holy state, meaning that it's apparent and revealed to everyone. We're not embarrassed to say it belongs to the Jews. It's a Jewish state. It has connected to Yiddishkeit, Elokut v'Kedusha, godliness and holiness. This makes all the difference. And through the Jewish people utilizing the land to keep the mitzvahs that were commanded only to keep in the land of Israel. We don't have these commandments here. There are many, many commandments we can't keep out of Israel. We live not Shamat Beit HaMikdash, and we have the goal to build there the Bais HaMikdash, the Jewish temple, which Hashem says, make me a holy place and I will dwell amongst you. So if we are following this, that we need to make a place that Hashem said on this mountain and in this place, where Abraham took Yitzchak and Nakeda, and where all these things happen, and the Jewish land where all our history is, but it's more than just history. This is the place where we're commanded by Hashem to make our state, our temple, and that's where Hashem will dwell amongst us. So since we have that command, and we're Jews, and we're commanded in this place, that's what our hold is, and that's where. Otherwise, there were some Jews in the previous generation, before the state of Israel, that were thinking, let's make Israel in some other country. Why? Because they weren't observant, and they didn't have these commands to keep. They didn't care about these commandments necessarily, or maybe they cared, but they thought we couldn't attain it. The Rebbe said, no, we have to attain this. This is our command. It's a biblical command from Hashem, from Torah. We must keep these mitzvahs, to keep the whole Torah, and to bring the light into the world, and godliness into the world, and holiness to the entire world. We have to do it in the land of Israel, as we're commanded. This is really the purpose of the entire creation. This is what we are taught. Hashem had in mind when he created the world, the ultimate purpose will be for the Jewish people to be in the land of Israel, build the temple in the holy place in Yerushalayim. Hashem put human beings in this physical world in order to multiply and to settle the land and to make it a dwelling place for godliness. It wasn't just to survive, to have human beings on a planet. It was to make it a dwelling place for godliness in an earthly world. Okay? A place where godliness is revealed, holiness is revealed in the physical world. Similar to a human being being alive in their own home and settling in their own home and being having dominion over their own home. So too, we can create a space and a place for Hashem to be present in this world and revealed and apparent to the whole world that it's Hashem, that God's running the world, and God's within the world, and God's creating the world, and God's giving lifers to the world. That's our job, to teach to the whole world that we're here with. And we're seeing people, non-Jews now, are saying life is not just about being robots. Okay, we can be overtaken by robots and they can do a better job if that's the goal of the world. The goal of the world is not just to be efficient and to make money and to settle and to survive. The goal of the world is to bring meaning, and that's how we're not robots. We're bringing meaning and purpose. We're bringing higher values and higher mission of revealing a higher purpose and mission of making a dwelling place for godliness, for holiness. And this is a purpose that gives us the difference between us and robots. We are here to bring something holy into the world, make the world a holy place, live on a higher level of consciousness. So yes, we do need to live physically, and we do need to take care of the physical in order to be able to create the spiritual. But the physical just alone would be just a robotic world, very well functioning, but nothing to it. God forbid. It ends up being harming each other. And if people have no values and no spirituality and no higher purpose, God forbid it doesn't work. The world won't last. In order to conquer the land and settle the land, there has to be something in all the details fully functioning, both what's being conquered or taken over and both the one who's conquering. Number one, when do we conquer the land is when we're conquering the whole entire land. If you conquer most of the land but leave parts of it unconquered, it's a problem. We see that now with Gaza. The Jewish people thought, okay, we'll let some other people that are not so holy and not so kind and good, don't have the same morals and values as we do, have their own little turf in Israel called the Gaza Strip, and we'll let them take care of themselves and rule themselves. And what did we find out? That once they were left alone to their own devices, the terrorists took over, and terrorist rule and terrorists turned into a dungeon, a real literal dungeon for the people there, and ruling with horrible results, destruction and mayhem.
They did vote for them, though.
What?
They did vote for them, though.
Correct. But I'm saying, that's what happens when.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a takeover. That's what they want.
No, well, we don't know if people were also coerced either, because a lot of the elections now are fake elections. So it could have been coerced. Why didn't someone bring in a good, honest leader and not Arafat? They could have brought in a choice that was good. There was no choice.
I don't want to get into politics over here.
No politics. Yeah,
is that they were also brainwashed, okay, and they allowed themselves to be brainwashed, and they believe in the brainwashing. That's a problem. But that's what I'm saying. Is like the Jewish people allowed that nation to take over a certain small little area, and they messed it completely, made just terror tunnels. They used all their resources to build terror tunnels so that they could hide, and they couldn't be reached, and the civilians would be at risk instead of them. So on all levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually, they just unholiness and horrible people took over, and it became a death trap for innocent people. So in any event, so conquering the land, the Rebbe says over here, means conquering the entire land. Bishlemut, fully holy. גם חלקי שנכבשו, כפשטות העניין שאז נשארת סכנה מאנשים הנמצאים בחלק שלא נכבש, because simply put, the Rebbe says, if you don't, there's danger from the peoples who are there in the parts of the land that were not conquered. That's number one. Number two, mitzad hakovesh, the one who's conquering, matai hakibushu b'shlemut, when is the conquering or taking over the land fully? Ba'ofen shenikar b'gelush hanichbash shehu nichbash l'gam yadei hakibushu, when it's apparent that the one who's conquering fully took over. There's no question of whether there's a possible other threat still lingering that we have to be afraid of. When the conqueror is completely, fully vested with all their power to completely take over, with all their personal efforts and energies and possibilities and capacities, when a person is conquering the land, he is taking full control with all his three capacities of thought, speech, and deed, machshava, dibur, and maaseh. It's very interesting that a very popular song that became in Israel in Hebrew is a song which is based on the Rebbe's talks, which we see right here, this word thought, speech, and deed. And there's some places where the Rebbe says machshavot tovot, good thoughts, diburim tovim, good speech, and good deeds, diburim tovim. And that's become a very popular Israeli song, which is sung in lots of raves and all kinds of places, even around the world. There was a big, huge rave in the United States last year, I remember, and huge, tens of thousands of mostly non-Jews. And the Israeli singer who was invited for one song, this was the song that they chose, was the good thoughts, good speech, good deeds in Hebrew. They were singing it. Yes. And it's actually Chabad Nigun.
Wow.
See it in a rave with these words: good thoughts, good speech, good deed. So in order to be able to conquer the land, the conqueror also has to be able to vest all his thought, speech, and deed, knowing that they're going to take over everything. So this is right physically, and this is also spiritually. אם אין הוא כובש את הארץ עם כל גמול לבושים, אלא במעשה בלבד לא תכנון ומחשבה, ולא בדיבור לפקידי אחד ונכבשים, או רק במחשבה ומעשה, כיצא בזה, חסר לשלמות הכיבוש, ובדרך ממילא גם בכיבוש בכל פרטים במציאות הנכבש. So if the conqueror, the person who's taking over the land, is not fully vested with thought, speech, and deed, let's say there's only thought and deed, or there's only speech but no planning, or there's only action but no thought and speech. You can't have a full conquering of the land unless you have all three: the planning, the speech, the commands of the conquerors and the planners, and then the actual action to make it work fully, so that we could fully conquer the land. So too, it's in a spiritual conquering of the land of the world, or the whole entire world, in our spiritual service of Hashem, to make a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world. It's effective when the conquering of the land is permeating all the details of the actual dwelling place. That every aspect of the dwelling, it's apparent that it belongs to the one who conquered, took it over. So like we said, there's no, like Gaza Street, there's no area in your house where this is off limits for holiness. Okay, this area is not part of godliness. It doesn't work. The taking control, bringing Hashem into this world, bringing Hashem, making a dwelling place for Hashem, is every detail is clear. This belongs to Hashem. That's number one. And number two, that's from the conquerors, and from the aspect of the one that's being conquered, the person who is now living and dwelling in the house, it's revealed, and it's very clear and apparent in all the person's existence in their home, in thought, speech, and deed in their home. Because this is where the person lives and dwells. This is their space. This is their place. This is their home. So too, when it's the person, when it's Hashem's place that we make a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world, in this entire world, when is it completely Hashem's dwelling place, Hashem's home? It's when it's expressed that every detail of this world, all the details of this world, and it's a dwelling place in a revealed way that this place, this world belongs to Hashem. Clear. Hashem is Hashem runs the world. This is Hashem's world. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's not the politicians. It's not the business people. It's not the people, the thieves. It's not the hackers. It's Hashem's world. And when that's clear and revealed with Galui, then it's Hashem's world. That's we spiritual took over the world. Hashem is clearly revealed. With all Hashem's powers and capacities of levushim, meaning Hashem is we know Hashem is in control. It's very clear all the details of the world. Which are revealed through the 10 spheres, which are Chochmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura, right? We know the 10 spheres of Hashem are revealed in all the capacities of the 10 spheres, which also divide in general to thought, speech, and deed aspects. We're talking spiritually. Bria, which is the worlds of Bria, it's expressed in the worlds of intellect, emotion, and action. So these are the spheres represent Hashem's, so to speak, thoughts, Hashem, so to speak, emotions, Hashem, so to speak, actions, because Hashem is not a human, but these are, when it's revealed that God is in control of all the thoughts in the world, and then all the speech of the world, and all the actions of the world, then we're making a dwelling place for Hashem in this world revealed. Okay, so this is paragraph 5. Okay, hey. 8 o'clock. Okay, let's continue. But I love this paragraph. This is something we could speak about some more. He says there's more about it in Sefer Sichos Tafshin in 1990, about this idea of how Hashem is revealed in thought, speech, and deed in the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. Those are the spiritual worlds where Hashem is clearly revealed through Hashem's intellect, so to speak, emotion, so to speak, and action, so to speak. Vav. Since this dwelling place for Hashem, how is Hashem revealed in this world that this is Hashem's home, Hashem's place, Hashem's space? It's through our service of the Jewish people. So it's clear, in order for us to make this happen, a Jew needs to also have fully and completely, with all the details of their powers of thought, speech, and deed, vested in making Hashem's dwelling place through our thought, speech, and deed. נוסף על זה שהוא עושה מעצמו דירה לקדוש ברוך הוא על ידי זה שעובד את הקדוש ברוך הוא במחשבה, דיבור ומעשה שלו, צריכה גם עבודתו בעולם בקיום המצוות על דרך זה בדברי רשות בשם שמיים, להיות בכל מציאותו במחשבה, דיבור ומעשה שלו. So there's two aspects when it comes to our serving Hashem with our thoughts, speech, and deed. One is making Hashem in our service, our personal service, connection, relationship with Hashem, that our thoughts, our speech, and our deed are all connected to godliness and to Hashem. And then our thought, speech, and deed within our action and influence in the world, that everything that we do in the world has our thought, speech, and deed, even the permitted things, not just the mitzvahs, not just our relationship to Hashem that has to do with mitzvahs, but our activities within the world. Every little last detail of every activity is done for Hashem's sake, and we invest all ourselves, every thought, speech, and deed that we have, that we're dealing with in the world, not just in our service of Hashem, but in the world. Every little aspect of our business, of our day-to-day, of our routines, of our capacities of survival, of thriving, whatever it is that we're doing, our interests, everything is here is utilized to serve Hashem, to make a dwelling place for Hashem. Like we know, in order to keep the mitzvahs fully, we need to keep them with our thoughts, speech, and deed. generally the general mitzvahs, whether it is mitzvahs that depend on our thought, mitzvahs that depend on our speech, and mitzvahs that depend on our actions. There are different kinds of mitzvahs. For instance, in general, Torah is mainly in speech. We're supposed to actually articulate Torah when we learn it. Avodat Tefillah, prayer is mainly in the heart, the service of the heart. So which is thought, which is arousing our thoughts and focusing on Hashem, meditating on Hashem, which arouses our love and our emotional capacities to serve Hashem with our feelings. And then Gemilut Chasadim, kind deeds, which are the mitzvahs, good deeds, is mainly in action. However, each mitzvah we're supposed to keep with all three, thought, speech, and deed. For instance, kavanat mitzvah, like when we do action, we still need to have intentions when we're doing it and have a thought process going on. The more kavana, the more thought, the more we elevate the action to a higher level. And also, when we do a mitzvah, we make a blessing over it. So even though it's an action that we're doing, which is the mitzvah, but when we make a blessing, we bring it into speech also. And when we do the action, then we're doing the physical activity. So you have thought, which is the kavana, the intention, and the intention and the hisbonenus, the meditation on it, and which arouses also the feeling, which arouses the love and awe, and brings us to a higher level of consciousness and feeling when we're doing the mitzvah and thoughts. And then speech is when we make the blessing on the mitzvah, and then the action is when we actually do the mitzvah. So even a physical activity has all three, thought, speech, and deed. So even though according to Torah law, there's differences between the mitzvahs. There's mitzvahs that are mainly the capacity or the commandment is to actually keep them in action. There's mitzvahs that are mainly in speech, or there's mitzvahs that are mainly in thought. Or two of the three, or with all three. Some mitzvahs you have to have all three to make it happen. For instance, my mind immediately, when we're writing a Sefer Torah, writing tefillin, or writing a mezuzah, there has to be all three. And if you don't have all three, then it's a problem. So it has to be the intention that you're doing this for the mitzvah. There has to be the speech. You say, the Sofer says, this is for the Shem mitzvahs, mezuzah or Sefer Torah or tefillin, and then the action doing it. However, the fullness of keeping all the mitzvahs, especially, particularly when we're speaking about our relationship with keeping our mission of a man here down below, keeping it fully, keeping all the mitzvahs as our shlichus, as our mission. We're not just doing it for reward and punishment. We're just doing it because we have to, we're forced to, we have no choice, God forbid. And we want the reward and we don't want to be punished, we're afraid. So no, when we're doing it fully and wholly, completely, in order to bring Hashem into the world, consciousness into the world, then it's specifically when we keep the mitzvah fully with all its capacity, with all its essence, with all its being. Similar to the mitzvah of loving of Hashem when we say in the Shema, when we say Shema in the morning and at night, right? By day and by night, we're supposed to say Shema twice. It's interesting. This Friday night, when was it? Maybe it was the fast day. So they prayed Mariv early in order to be able to immediately eat, and our shul here at Rabbi Reichik's shul on the bread, the Rav told the people, we're going to say Mariv early and say Shema early, so it's not going to be fully night before we say Shema. So make sure to say Shema after you go home or after we finish praying, after it's dark, at the right time, so that, and have an intention that you're keeping the biblical command of saying Shema at night also, because there is a biblical command to say Shema by day and say Shema by night twice. So, but it's interesting. He made sure to tell, don't forget, to say Shema again with the intention that you're saying the Shema at night for the mitzvah. Okay, so it's important. So, like it is when it comes to the mitzvah of love Hashem, when we say Shema, the love of Hashem includes all the mitzvahs. All the mitzvahs need to be done with love. There's no mitzvah like the mitzvah of loving of Hashem. That's what it says in the Zohar. Love of Hashem needs to be with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our might and our being. So this we learned that when it comes to everything that has to do with service of Hashem, so too, every aspect of everything that we do needs to be with all our powers, with all our thought, our speech, and our deed, fully and completely. So, okay. Va'afilu b'tzadik, and there we put in brackets, even with a tzaddik or a beinani, like a person on a very high level, shemavchin b'achiluk ben mitzvot shemachshava dibur ma'aseh, that this person does differentiate and does have a capacity to focus on the difference between the thoughts that are in the mitzvahs that are in thought, and the mitzvahs that are in speech, and the mitzvahs that are in deed. And how much more so in simple people. They don't necessarily know the difference so much between the mitzvahs on these levels. Still, they keep naturally every mitzvah simply put with their thought, speech, and deed. They invest their whole selves into it. So it's not just a high person who knows exactly and very conscious. Just simply put your thought, speech, and deed into it. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be on the high level to know every mitzvah, where it's coming from, okay, and what level it's at, and what the essence of the mitzvah is. It's more in thought, more in speech, or more in deed, or all three, or all two. You don't have to know all that, the Rebbe says. Just put all your thought, speech, and deed into every mitzvah that you do. And when a Jew does this, invests his whole thought, speech, and deed in every detail of what they're doing to serve Hashem, with their thought, speech, and deed, you transform the entire world. The world is divided into three levels. The world is divided into thought and speech and deed in the world. And that on all three levels, we make a dwelling place for Hashem in this world. So this is something we can be conscious of, right? Last week we learned how we instigate. It's like we press the buttons when we do a mitzvah. We're activating Hashem in the world, right? We're activating a relationship. We're bringing consciousness of Hashem and a downflow in a relationship with Hashem. We're turning on the flow. We're turning on the buttons. So the Rebbe adds here that it's not just activating on one dimension. We can activate this relationship and this downflow on three levels simultaneously. Our thought connected with Hashem's thought, so we're revealing something on the world of thought of Hashem, so to speak. With our emotions, we're activating and arousing an emotional, so to speak, response from Hashem, which is the world of Yetzirah. The world of thought is the world of Bria, and then we're activating action from Hashem when we do actions, the physical action. It's very interesting also. See, my mind is one dimension of mezuzahs, because this is new to me, so it's exciting. I'm learning all these things about mezuzahs and tefillin and sefer Torah that I never knew before. So one of the things that I didn't know also is that when a sofer checks the sefer Torah, tefillin, or mezuzah, it's not just a physical check, the action of making sure of correcting mistakes and making sure it's kosher physically. There's also the sofer is actually reading and focusing on the words. When he's reading the Sefer Torah, Tefillah, and Mezuzah, he's actually reading the Shema and the portions that are written, and that is also activating the thought and the speech. Aside from what that he has to have kavanah, the intention that he's doing this for the mitzvah, and that he's saying this is for the mitzvah with speech. There also is the actual reading of the words and focusing on the words when he's actually reading it. And that activates and stimulates, it's like kind of arouses the Hashem's revelation through this mezuzah. through this tefillin, through the Sefer Torah. And that also has a dimension of downflow influence on this person who owns the mezuzah and the tefillin, or the Sefer Torah, the community that owns the Sefer Torah. So there is an instigation, not just in the physical activity of checking it. I always thought my whole life, the only thing that's going on is the sofer is checking it to make sure it's kosher, and he fixes it technically, or if you can't fix it, then you have to replace it. But it's not just that. There's a speech going on a couple of levels, and there's a thought going on a couple of levels. Okay? So the thought of that you're doing the mitzvah, the speech of saying I'm doing the mitzvah, I'm doing this for the holiness, and then there's the thought of actually thinking of the letters when he's reading them, and then the thought and the speech of actually reading the letters. He's reading the Shema. So there's that. All three are activated. Thought, speech, and deed are activated for the person when the sofer is checking their mezuzahs, tefillin, or their sefer Torah. Isn't that beautiful? I never knew that. Most people don't know this. If you go to most rabbis around the world, they won't know this. Maybe I should write it down. And thank you, Chavrachel, for writing out something yesterday. I didn't have a chance yet I just saw it, I think, this morning, really. But thank you, Chavrachel, for writing something out. I can't wait to see it. I think from now on, anything I say, or any of these new things or ideas or stories, if any of you want to write them out, you can use ChatGPT. It makes it really easier if you do. You're welcome to please, because we can't keep up with all the writing. Okay, there's so many stories and thoughts, and whatever you get inspired to write, please do. Did you want to say something, Chavrachel?
Except to say that my husband right now is walking on his walk while we're doing this, and we're talking about thought, speech, and action. So everyone, please give him
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big deal.
Baruch Hashem.
Nice.
Yes. This is what we waited for.
My mother would say bravo. Mother's from
Bravo, yes.
Europe. Bravo.
I just want to say one thing. You have to send this lecture out because it is so incredible, and from the very beginning, it explains the truth and the truth of why we're in the world and what the world is for.
Yes, this is
and that without hatred of the nations, knowing that the whole world is on a mission. They have to get back to the mission that Hashem put them to. That the world is for Hashem and not for us to be greedy or do bad things in the world or hurt people.
Yes, the world belongs to Hashem. It's like they're trying to also figure out whose Gaza belongs to. It belongs to Hashem. Okay, we're going back to basics. Hashem created the world and decided who should take. It's not belongs to us. It just decided to give it to us to make it a holy place. So that's what we're here for. It belongs to Hashem, not to nobody.
It has to go back to holiness. It has to get holiness.
Go back to the right, and we're the ones who are on the mission to make it holy. We're on that mission. Okay.
That's right. That should be easy. It should be normal. It should be natural, because instead of making up all this stuff, let's just forget all this stuff and just say what's true.
Right. It doesn't matter who it belongs to. It belongs to Hashem. It's not.
That's it. Very simple, right? The world belongs to Hashem.
The first Rashi of Bereshis. It's that famous Sikh of the Rebbe.
Right.
That's the first part with Bereshis, with Hashem created the heaven and the earth. Why? So that if the time will come, like we see now, where the nations of the world will say, "You stole the land of Israel,"
right?
Say to them,
"It's all written in Bereshis."
Hashem decided to give it to us to make it a good holy place. That's our job. When do the nations of the world actually feel they have a right to go oppose Israel? Is when Israel are not using it for holy purposes. That's really where they feel that they have now they have an in. Now they can create trouble.
Well, it's really Hashem. It's Hashem talking to us. That's what it is. He runs the world, and he talks to us, and he wants us to say, children, I love you. This is for you, and this is for you to do your purpose.
Yes, and when
no one has control. We have to know that it's all Hashem.
And when we identify as Jews and say, yes, we're Jews, we want to make this world holy, and we want to make this land holy, then that gives us the right to go on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you just repeat, like, on the spheres, thought, speech, and deed? What were the spheres that you said?
Yes. So thought is the intellectual capacity, which is chachma, bina, and das. Okay, wisdom, intellect, and understanding, and connecting in our intellect. And then the emotions are chesed, gevurah, tiferes, netzach, hod, yesod, which are the six emotions, and really malchus is action. Is where we take it into thought.
Is that connected to speech?
Yeah, malchus is also connected to speech. It's that on all levels you can have thought, speech, and deed in all levels. Like the Rebbe said, they're all interconnected.
But there's not like one more connected to thought, speech, or deed, or it's all just all
Also,
of them?
yeah, malchus is more connected to thought, speech, and actual. It's more speech and deed. Speech that creates deed. So malchus is more connected to speech, which brings to deed, to the next, giving birth to the next set of spheres. But
and the midos are connected more with what?
With the emotions. Midos are chesed, gvurah.
Yeah, no, I know, but is it connected with thought, speech, or deed, or they're all of them?
The midos are more connected to the emotions, which are chesed through yourself.
Now, I know, but how, in this idea of everything has to have thought, speech, and deed, you have to have all of them in your emotional, like.
Yeah, really, need to have
they're all. You need all of them. It's not like one is more.
All the 10 spheres need to be inter-included of all 10 spheres.
With the thought, speech, and deed.
That's right. So, like in Chochmah, you have the 10 spheres of Chochmah, and then Bina, you have 10 spheres of Bina, and Chesed, you have the 10 spheres in Chesed.
Right. And then you have to connect it all with your thought, speech, and deed. It has to be brought.
Yes.
But to get the real magic, you have to get to the level that you can have those kavanot. That's when you really affect the worlds.
Yeah.
When you can.
So we have a lot of work in front. That's what it's
called.
Yes, a lot of multiple layers.
That's why we have to connect to a tzaddik. I see that now because they already got there, and if we're doing the deeds and they're up there already, and we're connecting to them, then it actually, it's like hiring an engineer who knows what they're doing and they do it right. Yeah. So I understand now why you need a Rebbe, because he made it there, and he's there, and all the energy we feed him, it goes to the world, right?
Yeah,
all the good deeds we do, even if
a broader vision and ability to bring a downflow.
right. Even if we're not at that level and we're just trying, so our power is not as great, but connecting to him, then we accomplish much more goodness in the world.
Also, the tzaddik helps us unify, and like we see here, the Rebbe is helping us see our mission, see our goals, see our purpose, see our connections with each other, and work together to the goal. That's the leader. The tzaddik is our leader. He's our. Okay. Let's finish this. Okay. I just want to see where we are. Okay. Through doing his service with all the details fully and wholly and completely through machshava, dibur, maaseh, thought, speech, and our deeds, we transform the world, which also has the three levels of thought, speech, and deed within it, into a dwelling place for Hashem. So like we said, we push the buttons. So we feel Hashem's thought in the world, Hashem's speech in the world, Hashem's action, so to speak, in the world. A dwelling of Hashem is revealed on all levels. But Kafisha, who Gam B'Pashtut, so as it is simply put, Shevo V'Inyanim Nika, B'Nifal Bo L'Ampulat HaMachshava Dibur Maaseh, L'Koach HaPoel, B'Mele, Kasher Adam HaPoel B'Olam, Oseh Davar B'Chol V'Shim Shelo, Machshava Dibur Maaseh, זה נקרא גם שוב הדבר שפועל בעולם. So when you have something in the world that you put your thought, speech, and deed into it. So most things you can see in the thing that's being affected in the world itself, then you can see that there's the power of the one who's putting the thought, speech, and deed into it. Normally, when you, you see, for instance, you see a finished Sefer Torah, you know that the person who had a thought, he worked on it. It's not so apparent that they used the speech, maybe, or the thought, if you see more the action, but there had to be some sort of thought and speech in order to make it actually work out. It's almost impossible not to. But when you vest your thought, speech, and deed into something, usually whatever is being affected or created or worked on it's apparent that there was thought, speech, and deed put into it. So when a person, a human being, takes action in the world with all these thoughts, speech, and deed, their thoughts, it's apparent and clear, fully and completely, that in the fullness of what's being activated or what's being worked on in the world. So meaning it's like you could look at the world and say, wow, there is, when we use the world for Hashem, with our thought, speech, and deed, we announce to the world, this is Hashem's world. We explain to people what we're learning and how Hashem made this world for us. And we do actions and kind deeds and good deeds, and we transform the world to a holy place and a good place where people are thriving and growing as human beings with holiness and good deeds. Then we're revealing Hashem and all these levels of our thought, speech, and deed in the world, and it becomes apparent. Wow, Israel is a holy nation. The land of Israel is a holy place. This is a great place to go to and experience godliness revealed in this place. Good people with good intentions and good speech and good deeds. This is, it becomes clear. This land of Israel is a holy place, and that's, where we want to be. So, but it's not just land of Israel. We need to do it in the entire world, is what I was saying. That every place you come to, you see, it's so funny. The other day, my husband and I were in front of our new house, and one of the neighbors comes up to us. We don't know who he is. We don't know he was even a neighbor, really. An elderly man. He looks a bald man, and he says to us, "Are you Jewish? Are you?" Yeah. You look very Jewish, and I smiled, I laughed, and he's like, he said, "I'm Jewish too," So it's very apparent, when we're standing there, that we look very Jewish. So that's, an example of we're Jewish. It's very clear, we look very Jewish. There's no question about it. We're Jewish. Okay, so that's a funny example of revealing Hashem in the world, and that was a very simple level, but just with the
well, it's a nice level because it wakes up his Judaism. I'm Jewish too.
Yes, and he told us his Hebrew name.
The seeing you woke up his Judaism, so it does have, the simple things are sometimes very important. Like, you're helping someone feel proud about themselves being Jewish too.
Yes, but it's very funny how he said it. Like, "Are you Jewish, are you?" Like, what's the question, with his big yarmulke and long white beard. Anyway, so that was, that's, we elevate the world, and that's our job. And it's already 8:30, so we're going to stop here. We finished, we finished Vav, number 6. Okay.
Amazing.
Anybody want to say something more? If you have something else to say, anybody else want to add or ask or?
Well, I was just feeling that when you go into all the details and all the details that we affect and we keep affecting, and how they interconnect and everything keeps growing and going and going and going. But it just made me feel like when Mashiach comes, there's so much room to continue to grow. There's no fear that we won't have what to do. It's like we're constantly, there's so much effect that we can still keep going up and up and up. There's so much. It's not like, oh, you finished. You can never finish. You can keep growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And so that just made me feel,
Right. We can still have our mission. Rafa, it looks like you want to say something.
I was trying to get myself off mute. What I keep thinking lately is that what I learned is that why we wash Negelwasser 3 times on each hand is because that's what we'll be doing when the temple is built, and we have to be ready and practiced So, a lot of people just do 2 times. And that's why we do 3 times, because we're ready for the third Bais Hamikdash.
Ah,
Oh, it's
nice.
beautiful. Like,
Beautiful.
And when I do it 3 times, it just makes me remember that, I'm
every
prepared.
time you wash your hands, remember the Bais
Yeah, I do.
Hamikdash.
Yes, beautiful. And Mazel Tov and your husband walking. That's so
Thank
wonderful.
you. He's
Is
still
the-
walking.
Is today the first day or when?
No, it's just happening while we're doing
Oh, we're
this.
talking.
And
Beautiful.
no, he's walking with the walker on it, and he's practicing. He doesn't yet walk by itself.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this should help him, though, spur him to the.
Yes, we're very excited. Very excited.
Thank you.
A thought, speech, and deed. He's taking action and walking.
That's right, and we're giving him the impetus.